Kiss me goodbye and write me while I'm gone. Goodbye, my sweetheart. Hello, Vietnam.
From now on, you will speak only when spoken to. And the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be, sir. Do you maggots understand that?
What's not quite right with Full Metal Jacket? As Sergeant Hartman makes his speech, we see him pass Cowboy and Joker.
If you ladies leave my island, if you survive recruit training, you will be a weapon.
Two recruits to their right, we see Private Pyle.
But until that day, you are...
When the DI comes back to confront Joker, we now see Pyle is standing one recruit down to the left of Cowboy and Joker.
Nobody, huh? The fairy fucking godmother said. Well, no shit. What have we got here? A fucking comedian, Private Joker. I admire your honesty. Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and fuck my sister. Don't pull my fucking hand over there. I said choke yourself. Now lean forward and choke yourself. Are you through grinning?
Sorry, yes, sir.
Bullshit, I can't hear you.
Sorry, yes, sir.
You are dumb, Private Pyle, but do you expect me to believe that you don't know left from right?
Sir, no, sir.
Then you did that on purpose. You want to be different.
Sir, no, sir.
What side was that, Private Pyle?
Sir, left side, sir.
Are you sure, Private Pyle?
Sir.
While there's never been policy that says corporal punishment and hazing is acceptable in the military in general, or the Marine Corps specifically, it can happen. Which means it's not quite right. It's just really fucked up. What else is not quite right? Many of the recruits, including Joker, aren't doing proper Marine pull-ups. And if nothing else, drill instructors are sticklers for proper form and technique. You're doing proper form or they don't count at all.
Sir, the Private 6th General.
Another NQR? Gunnery Sergeant Hartman has Joker doing push-ups for not remembering his 6th General Order, but the recruit places his rifle on the deck. In boot camp, the proper technique is to lay the rifle over the back of both hands while doing the exercise.
You just executed.
Sir, for...
Another NQR? When the Marines are on the rifle range, we see a drill instructor checking a rifle, but he fails to keep the weapon pointed downrange, which is a major safety violation. The markings on the ground are British road markings. Kubrick shot the entire film in England using abandoned locations for South Carolina and Vietnam. What makes it NQR is that Kubrick was known for his meticulous attention to detail. Alright, that's a nitpick, but still.
Our last night on the island. I draw fire watch.
There are a few NQRs here.
Hi, Joker.
There's no way Pyle would have been able to get ammunition in the barracks. Rounds and magazines are closely monitored. Recruits are watched closely on the firing line, and pat-downs are done when they leave.
Are those live rounds? .762 millimeter. Full metal jacket.
Also, Pyle sits on the 4th toilet seat from the back of the room. In the next shot, when he kills himself, he's sitting on the 3rd toilet seat.
baby. Me so horny. Me so horny. You party? Yeah, we might party.
A few NQRs here. Saluting in the field is dangerous and not done for sniper reasons.
Is that the official body count, sir?
Joker introduces himself to an officer by his nickname only,
Oh, I see. I'm Sergeant Joker and this photographer's Rafterman.
which is highly unlikely under any circumstances. For a scene that made a big deal about the peace button on Joker's flak vest,
Green, what is that button on your body armor?
A peace symbol, sir.
Where'd you get it?
I don't remember, sir.
it's ridiculous that that button is missing 2 shots later. It's almost like Kubrick was daring us to notice that. And officers don't salute enlisted men first.
What's happening, man? Oh, I'm just waiting to get back to land the big PX.
Yeah? Well, why go back? Here, there, samey same.
Another NQR? Joker wears wireframe glasses. He wouldn't have been allowed to go through basic training and into the field with those. He would have been issued plastic frame regulation prescription glasses like cowboys.
Rafterman.
Rafterman.
What's not quite right in this sequence of shots? First, we see the squad come up on an abandoned building. Pay attention to Crazy Earl. Okay, the point man gets blasted. And Animal Mother's like, fuck this, let's rock. And everybody unloads. Animal is still getting busy, and the photographer is scared shitless. And Earl is getting some himself. When we see Earl again, his magazine is missing from his rifle, but we assume he ejected it to change it. Everyone starts reloading, but when we see Earl, it looks like he's reloaded already. Wait. This is a textbook continuity error in editing. The funny part is, movies are screened dozens of times before they ever hit the theaters, and no one picked up on that. So yeah, that whole thing is just not quite right.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner.
Let's do it!
When Cowboy, Joker, and the other soldiers go to meet Animal Mother to get the sniper, if you slow it down, you can see a film crew member cross in front of the camera's dolly shot. Observation. As the tension builds and Joker prepares to mercy kill the sniper, the peace symbol button on his vest is slowly obscured as he raises his arm to shoot. Only when the peace symbol is fully covered do we hear the killing shot. Looking back, even though Joker talked tough in the hooch scene,
I am fucking bored to death, man. I gotta get back in the shit. I ain't heard a shot fired in anger in weeks.
he showed how scared he really was when he thought he might actually have to kill people.
Hey, I hope they're just fucking with us. I ain't ready for this shit.
Amen.
This is the first and only time we witness Joker kill anyone, and the peace symbol never fully comes back into view again. Only after this, in the film's coda, does Joker finally acknowledge that he's in a world of shit.
I am so happy that I am alive, in one piece, and short. I'm in a world of shit. Yes, but I am alive, and I am not afraid.
And the last not quite right? As the squad approaches the building, you can see through the hole that the other side of the wall is still intact. After Cowboy takes a peek and goes back, the hole is suddenly there for the sniper to shoot through.
Cowboy, over.
Whose side are you on, son?
Our side, sir.
Don't you love your country?
Yes, sir.
Then how about getting with the program? Why don't you jump on the team and come on in for the big win?
Yes, sir.
Son, all I've ever asked of my Marines is to obey my orders as they would the word of God. We are here to help the Vietnamese because inside every gook is an American trying to get out.
Let's pause for a minute. Before I continue with the in summary, I'm just going to say, in my opinion, Full Metal Jacket ripped off parts of The Boys in Company C, another movie about the Vietnam War that came out about 9 years earlier. Let's take this to the construct. Both films share many similar scenes, but one major difference is in Company C, we follow a group of Marine recruits through boot camp in San Diego to Vietnam, while in Full Metal Jacket, we primarily follow one Marine recruit, Private Joker, from Parris Island, South Carolina to Vietnam. But what they do share is, both films have the two-part structure of recruits at boot camp, then in a war zone. Both movies end with soldiers, weary from battle, marching away while singing. And the biggest factor that makes me think Full Metal Jacket ripped off The Boys in Company C is both films feature R. Lee Ermey as the tough-as-nails drill instructor.
Settle down.
I had previously posted this video, you know, before YouTube made like Thanos. And a lot of the pushback I got in pointing these things out was that both movies are about Marines, so of course they would share similar elements. And that Full Metal Jacket was based on a book called The Short Timers, which was a semi-autobiographical novel by Marine vet Gustav Hasford, who served as a combat correspondent with the 1st Marine Division during the Tet Offensive in 1968. Kubrick's film generally follows how the book goes, except for the end. But The Short Timers was published in 1979. The Boys in Company C was released in February 1978. Am I suggesting the author may have ripped off the movie too? I'll just say that it could be a coincidence or parallel thinking. Or maybe Hasford saw the film and liked how that story was laid out and told his tale using the same two-part structure. They are two different mediums, and no one would make that connection if it had gone like that. Just tossing that out there. But the use of the same person for the same role of drill instructor in both movies is what really clinches it for me. Ermey was a Marine gunnery sergeant, a drill instructor at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego, and a Vietnam vet who retired in the early 70s, and by the mid-70s was working as a technical advisor on the movie Apocalypse Now. He even had a small scene in it.
Duke 6, this is Eagle Thrust 7. We've got it spotted.
Big Duke 6 Eagle Thrust. Put on.
He would be hired as a technical advisor again for The Boys in Company C, but the person hired to play the drill instructor wasn't working out, and director Sidney Furie, who earlier in the production had heard Ermey call cadence when he initially inquired about the role, decided to use the retired Marine. According to Furie's biography, Sidney J. Furie, Life in Films, by Daniel Krimmer, when shooting commenced, the young actors approached Furie, imploring him to use R. Lee Ermey as a performer. This said, Furie found that he was not quite getting everything he needed out of Santos Morales as the boys' drill instructor, which unsettled him considering the role's importance. Recalling how effectively Ermey had called cadence in his office and taking into account what a dynamo he had proved to be in whipping the movie's sense of reality into shape as its technical advisor, Furie enlisted him to take over the role, effectively splitting one DI character into two. The book would go on to say, from the very start of production, Furie customarily called upon all actors to improvise around the written dialogue, and Ermey certainly took advantage of this. A lot of the best Ermey lines are his own, Furie attests.
Sir, are you talking to me man to man?
Yeah, I'm talking to you man to man.
Then will you remove your hat, sir, so I can face you eye
I
to eye?
don't mind at all, Washington, if it's going to help you out.
Okay, so what do you want me to do, huh? I mean, what the fuck do you want me to do, man? You want me to be a good nigga so you can march those boys out of the brig, huh? Is that it?
No, Washington, I don't want it. God damn it, I don't want a good nigger! I want a goddamn man that's out there pushing these people. Somebody that they can trust, somebody that they know is trying to help them. I want somebody that they can count on in Vietnam. I don't want them to be afraid to fall down because they know somebody's behind them to pick them up and stand them back up on their goddamn feet. I got 8 fucking weeks to teach these goddamn people what it took you 20 years to learn on the streets. Now, you show me that kind of a goddamn nigger, and I'll give you a platoon that'll stand by you. A platoon that'll save your ass in combat, Washington. And they'll save their own asses, too. Teamwork, goddammit, teamwork! Yes, sir.
Ermey would work with Fury in another Vietnam movie, Purple Hearts, in 1984.
Amble the jackhammer.
You ugly son of a bitch. You best not
Amble the
fucking die on
jackhammer.
me.
Amble the jackhammer. We need a medevac unit. I say again, medevac unit. We have wounded. Oh, Roger. Army choppers are coming in, Gunny.
You hear that, goddammit, Jackson? Fucking Marines don't die on Army choppers. You got that? You best not give them fucking doggy pricks the satisfaction. You got me, Jackson?
And 3 years after that, he was hired as a technical advisor for Kubrick's upcoming war movie in 1987. A story circulated stating that Ermey persuaded Kubrick to cast him as the DI by making an audition tape of him yelling insults while tennis balls flew at him. If that's what Ermey had to do to get the part, then they should have been shooting live rounds at the other guys auditioning for the role. Anyone familiar with the making of the movie knows that Tim Colseri was originally cast as the DI, but his story on his experience in the film isn't nearly as outlandish. According to an interview in The Hollywood Reporter, Colseri sent an audition tape of him yelling like a DI at a guy pretending to be a recruit. And over hundreds of other actors' audition tapes, he won the part. Kubrick, being Kubrick, had Colseri, along with the director's longtime assistant, Leon Vitali, waiting on standby in London for almost a year while he shot the second half of the movie first. And in that time, the actor had to learn dozens of pages of dialogue, only to be sent a letter from Kubrick informing him that he was going with another actor for the role. According to the interview, while Vitali never allowed Colseri to deviate from the script, Ermey was able to improvise his verbal abuse, lines that ultimately would give him an edge over Colseri. That would lead to him being cast as Sergeant Hartman in the film.
You little scumbag! I got your name! I got your ass! You will not laugh! You will not cry! You will learn by the numbers! I will teach you! Now get up! Get on your feet! You had best unfuck yourself or I will unscrew your head and shut down your neck!
Full Metal Jacket's acclaim and popularity would raise Ermey's profile very high, and even though he wasn't a new actor at all, the gunnery sergeant was really just being discovered by audiences on a national level. Everyone wanted to know who this guy was and about how Kubrick brought him into the movie, like the tennis balls audition tape. Okay, let's add it up. Kubrick hires Tim Colseri, who is himself a Marine vet, though not a DI, to play Hartman, but he didn't have to jump through nearly as many hoops to get the role. Meanwhile, Ermey, who actually was a Marine drill instructor, played the same role in a previous movie and had acting experience, had to prove how good he was? Kubrick, a stickler for having actors stay on script, would say that he allowed Ermey to improvise much of his dialogue, insults and commands that would be natural for him as a DI. So what's the tennis balls for? Am I the only one who thinks the more you learn, the more this story sounds NQR? In Fury's biography, there's a passage about a phone call he got from Ermey not long after Full Metal Jacket came out to rave reviews. Nevertheless, in the summer of 1987, Fury received a phone call from Ermey. Listen, I just landed in New York. I'm on a promo tour for Full Metal Jacket, and you're not going to like what I have to tell you. Stanley made me promise I would say this is my first film. He wants to be my discoverer. I don't care, Lee. That's fine. Good for you. I hope it helps you. The Boys in Company C is always going to be there, and eventually people will get to know the truth. Fury swears by this conversation. Full Metal Jacket not only had the advantage of a bigger budget, massive theater rollout, and a heavily acclaimed and celebrated director, but the mid-80s saw an uptick in Vietnam War movies, and society was willing to embrace it, an atmosphere that Boys in Company C would not get to enjoy. All of this would make Kubrick's film essentially critic-proof, and even when someone pointed out the connection between the two movies, it was summarily dismissed. According to the biography, Fury, for his part, was not looking for that kind of credit, but found Kubrick's desire to lay claim to his own discovery of Ermey as needless. Stanley's one of the greatest filmmakers we've ever had. Why would he need that? I would say that Stanley Kubrick had achieved such acclaim and high regard as a brilliant filmmaker that the Kubrick brand at that time couldn't allow for anything less than promoting him as a singular original creator, and any actor breaking through on his film to the degree that Ermey had to be due to his genius, and of course would be his discovery. In interviews and articles, Kubrick would admit that he had seen Ermey in Boys in Company C, but it's kind of downplayed. My conclusion is that the publicity hype about how R. Lee Ermey came to play Sergeant Hartman doesn't add up, and is really not quite right. And the fact that to this day, because of the lore and legend of Stanley Kubrick, the connection between Boys in Company C and Full Metal Jacket isn't really made at all, nor is Company C acknowledged as a predecessor to Full Metal Jacket, which isn't a not quite right. It's really kind of fucked up. If you agree or not, sound off in the comments. Now, let's continue with, in summary. Even with its flaws, Full Metal Jacket is one of the top 5 best Vietnam War movies, along with Apocalypse Now, Platoon, Hamburger Hill, and Casualties of War. Where it ranks on that chart is arguable, but its impact on audiences was and is indelible. If you agree with this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if I missed an observation, let me know in the comments below. And if you would like to support the channel and videos, feel free to donate through PayPal or Cash App, or pick up some NQR gear. All the links are listed in the description below. And thanks for watching.